Welcome to the Millennial Body Image Project, where we dive into the unique and messy body image journey that continues to shape our generation.
We're here to flip the script on toxic wellness culture, challenge weight stigma, and tackle the intersectional forces that shape how we see our bodies and our health.
Because your body is not a problem to be fixed.
Before we get started today, we wanted to give a big thanks to Hungry Root for sponsoring today's episode. Make sure you check out the link in the show notes or use the code DANAM40 to receive 40% off your first box, plus get a free item in every box for life.
Okay, we have a holiday weekend coming up, so we needed to talk about this, okay? Because everybody's probably going to cookouts, whether it's at the pool, you've got time off, people are going to be grilling, doing the things outside, and we need to talk about what we get wrong about healthy summer eating. In quotes.
Yes, in quotes.
Because
what we get wrong.
Everything doesn't have to be grilled, light, and detox. That's the trifecta of, quote, healthy summer eating. So let's talk about it.
Yes, let's. I also just want to say before we get started, this weekend, enjoy the dreamsicle popsicle with your kid. For the love of God, you're going to survive. They're going to survive. Everything's going to be fine. The world will keep turning and it's going to be A-okay.
Yes.
Have a little fun, shall we?
Yeah, and what I am sick of, and when we were preparing for this episode, I think you called it out perfectly, Christina, is like it seems like there is this pressure to just perfect everything that you eat. And especially when you're around other people, it seems like they're monitoring what I'm eating. So I want to show that I'm being good, or I'm eating vegetables, or I'm eating the grilled things, or I'm eating light. Like, why does every single dessert that someone brings in the summer, why is the compliment of like, oh, this is so light? Who cares? Why does that equal good?
I know. I can understand lightness when it's coming to a summer food because it's like you don't want to eat something super heavy.
Of course
in
not.
the middle of the summer when it's like 100 degrees out. I'm not interested in eating like what Dana eating chili in the middle of the summer. Like
Stews.
That just sounds terrible,
No.
right? But there is this version of, okay, I'm going to eat something summery, but I'm going to make it even lighter and more airy than before or less, right? It's like, okay, if I'm going to make and it's always these like little quote unquote healthy swaps. If I'm going to make the watermelon feta salad, I'm going to use light feta. Or I bet you dime a dozen, there's probably some kind of cottage cheese feta salad that's out there right now that's going around.
God.
Who God knows. But there's probably something. And I just feel like everything is like this idea that it has to be, again, like perfected, made healthier, healthified, whatever it is. And in the summer, there's like this thing of like, it needs to be lighter because apparently lighter means low fat and that means healthier. And you know what really bothers me about this idea of like this healthy summer eating narrative that we hear in diet culture is that there's this, summertime is the most amazing time for all this plentiful, new, like dense, flavorful, freshly grown fruits and produce and vegetables and all this thing. It makes sense that you would want to capitalize on that throughout the summer. But yet, there is this weird guilty feeling about not having too much of it. And I don't understand this society's obsession with scarcity.
Yeah.
And like, why would we feed that? Like, why? I don't understand. And why do we do this to ourselves? And why do we limit the most flavorful and nutriently dense versions of these foods that we finally have available? And I'm talking to the people who are like, eat fruit, but not too much. Like, those are the people I'm talking about. If you're going berry picking with your kids, devour it. Enjoy every minute of it. Make your lips all purple and pink and whatever color it turns out to be. Like, have fun with it. Enjoy the fresh cherries that are the most amazing thing in the entire world right now. And don't think that you need to stop eating it because it's not healthy for you to have too much sugar, quote unquote. First of all, I want to debunk that real quick. That is a bunch of nonsense hogwash because fruit is packaged in the most incredible way, designed to help offset blood sugar regulation. Isn't it incredible? It's got fiber in there. It's got antioxidants in there to pick up on all those free radicals in order to manage it for you. You don't have to do anything to it. You can just enjoy it. That's it. I don't understand. There's my soapbox. I get really frustrated because summer is like the most fun to eat. And people are like, the whole time. I'm like, no, you should be screaming with excitement. This is so much fun. Go to the farmer's market, pick up the foods, do the things, enjoy it, have fun, make your own little garden, do all the things. It's so much fun. This is fun.
Well,
why are we depriving ourselves?
Again, the other thing that's frustrating about this is when we were, again, preparing for this episode, the number one thing that you see, it has to do with fruit. It's like, eat seasonally, eat locally for healthy eating and when in the summer and whatever, but also don't eat too much fruit. And it's like, this is what's so confusing to people, is if you Google fruits for weight loss, which I hope none of you do, the exact same fruits that they're saying on there are the exact same fruits that they say make sure you're mindful of these portions so you don't have too much sugar. Which one is it? Pick a side. This is why nutrition is so confusing. And this is coming from two people who have their master's degrees in nutrition. And it just continues to baffle us over and over again. And we're not even saying, well, if you take this piece of information from this side and you take this piece of information from this side, they're going to be conflicting. Of course they are, because you can do that with anything in nutrition.
Totally.
No, we're talking about the exact same article. Being the very first thing is like, enjoy the plentiful bounty of seasonal fruits and vegetables. And then you scroll a couple times down. It's like, but make sure you don't eat too much fruit. And it's like, listen, we all need to take a chill pill with this because even if you have type 2 diabetes, you still can eat fruit. There are going to be more parameters around that.
Totally.
But you're
depending on how your body reacts to it and all the things.
Correct.
Yes.
And you probably know those things if you have type 1 or type 2 diabetes or any other kind of hypoglycemic situation. You probably know that. With this, fruit is not a toxin. What are we doing? It's like Christina was saying, there's fiber, there's antioxidants, there's vitamin C, there's so many different things. All of those things individually, people are like, yes, amazing. Oh my God, why would we package them all together? Is it suddenly too much? When really it's like nature's multivitamin here.
Yeah. And the truth is, I think it's because of wellness influencers and just brands overall, just really using summer as a way to sell restriction.
Okay, well, there are also diets that say there's too much sugar in carrots. So, like, people are saying some crazy shit out here.
I know. What I want people to take from it is to let's reframe the things that Dana was saying about the clean eating trifecta of grilled, light, and detox. I want to reframe it. So the idea of grilling, one, I love grilling in the summer. I literally said to Casey the other day, oh my gosh, it's grill season. I love walking out of our patio, out of our backyard, walking inside and having eaten dinner and there be nothing to clean in there. It's like my most amazing, refreshing feeling of all time. So I want you to reframe grilled equals healthy to grilled equals great. Grilled equals easy. Grilled equals clean kitchen. Grilled equals lower stress, and I can go and have a nice evening walk with my kids after dinner. We can go play and go do sidewalk chalk or do whatever, or go for a bike ride together. It's sunnier out. There's less to clean up. There's low pressure. There's so much more to it that make it fun. And I'm not even saying, I think the thing that I think is important too is just because you're grilling something, like you should enjoy whatever it is that you like throughout this entire season. So if you like to have grilled veggies, do it. Enjoy it. Get it. Have fun. Enjoy the non-cleanup in the kitchen afterwards. It's like the best thing in the entire world. And I think like I would like to reframe these things to give more permission, because it seems like so much of the stuff is like, yeah, enjoy yourself, but not too much. God forbid you have too much fun, because that's a slippery slope. It's like, no, guys, We are in the era of enjoying ourselves. We are in the era of having fun. Taylor Swift has her masters back. Life is good. Things are right in the world. The ecosystem is back. Enjoy the fruit. Enjoy grilling. Enjoy listening to every single song you've ever loved in your entire life and have fun. That's what this summer should be about.
Yeah.
Not feeling shame about how you're supposed to hack certain types of things. And if we're going to feel all bent out of shape about cortisol, which we should be worried about having too much cortisol, right? We don't want to be living in a perpetual stressed out state. This is a really great way to reduce stress in your life by saying, screw it. This is a narrative that I don't want to perpetuate, that I don't want to get involved with. And I'm going to enjoy going berry picking and going to the cool little farmer's market with my kids and having a day, or with your friends or whomever. I'm always going to talk about from my kids' perspective, but going and having fun and enjoying yourself poolside and having a great time. Now's the time.
Yeah, there's your cortisol hack. Stop trying to be perfectionistic about everything.
Seriously. And girls, guys, I get it. Okay. It is hard, but this is one area where it's so unbelievably liberating to do. And it doesn't mean that you don't care about yourself or that you don't care about your health or that you're quote unquote letting yourself go. No, you're just giving yourself permission to relax.
Yeah, and it's really giving yourself permission to not be perfectionistic and just to take the moralization out of different foods and cooking modalities. You might eat this year the exact same way that you ate last year, but you're just taking the pressure out of it. You're taking the morality out of food. We're not saying don't enjoy grilling. We love grilling. I love the flavor of grilling. And that's generally something that you can only do for a certain season during the year, depending on where you live. So take advantage of it if you have that. I don't have a grill, right? So if I'm going someplace and they're grilling, I'm like, hell yeah. Let me eat some of that grilled food because I don't get to get that at home. And then when we're thinking about lighter foods, inherently in the summer, if you eat seasonally, you're going to eat lighter foods if you're eating seasonal produce because things like zucchini and green beans and summer squash and peaches and berries and strawberries or whatever seasonally you have in the summer is lighter than things like potatoes and squash and beets and all of the things that we get in the winter because they are going to be hardier because winter is cold and we need to be warmer, right? So if you're eating seasonally, which also I highly recommend that you do because the economy is hard out here. And when produce is in season, it is less expensive than it is the rest of the year. So budget hack, highly recommend that you go to a farmer's market or you eat seasonally because you will save money. Highly recommend.
Definitely.
Okay, we're going to take a quick pause here to talk about this week's sponsors because we got to pay the bills to keep this podcast running. So our sponsor this week is one of the #1 recommendations that I have been giving to clients, family, and friends for over the last 2 years. So let's talk about Hungry Root. You guys have heard me talk ad nauseum about how I have zero time to prep meals in the summer between coaching swim team, my full-time job in private practice, and of course the podcast and Patreon too. And truly, Hungry Root has been a lifesaver. And because as Christina and my swim kids know, I am not fun when I'm hangry. So whether you're in an extremely busy season, you have a lot of travel coming up over the summer, you have ADHD, or you're super burnt out and have zero mental space for coming up with new meal ideas for grocery shopping or for meal planning, Hungry Root could be a great resource for you. What I love most about it is the simplicity. Before your first order, you take a quick food preferences quiz, and we know us millennials love a quiz. And then Hungry Root will start recommending you different meals right from the jump. And in comparison to a lot of other meal kit and meal delivery services, Hungry Root is not prescribing or pushing any diets, which quite frankly is super refreshing. But if you do have celiac, any medical food restrictions, or any specific dietary needs, they'll make sure that you never get recommended or sent any food that you can't eat. So if you're looking for ways to make food more easily accessible, available, and make food prep a lot easier, Hungry Root has you covered with their simple but flavor-packed meal options that feel way easier than any other meal kit service I've ever tried. Some of my all-time favorite Hungry Root meals have been the tzatziki black bean burger bowl, the yuzu miso roasted salmon with asparagus over rice, lemon pepper chicken plus broccoli cheddar baked potato, and then the citrusy shrimp fried rice. So whether you have medical food restrictions, you're trying to save time, money, or eliminate food waste, Hungry Root has your covered. Huge thanks to Hungry Root for sponsoring today's episode, and make sure you check out the link in the show notes or use the code DANAM40 to receive 40% off your first box, plus get a free item in every single box for life. And now let's get back to the episode.
It's so true. And I want to also just note this as well, that you might be thinking to yourself, well, Christina, everything you guys are talking about are quote unquote healthy foods.
And
diets don't own them. Diets don't own grilled chicken. Diets don't own arugula. They make you think that if you're not on them, then you're not going to eat them at all. But surprise, they don't own them, and you can eat whatever you enjoy however you want to. And they don't own it. And I think that's actually one of the most liberating things that can happen with kind of taking back diets. It takes time sometimes, but there is this belief that if I'm not doing what the diet is telling me to do, then I won't eat these things and I won't enjoy this stuff. That is a lie, because it gets you back into buying their products and to doing their thing and showing back up again. And all it does when we don't do that is feed back into that cycle that we've been trying to get out of for a really long time. And part of that is also we paying attention to your hunger throughout the summer as well.
Mm-hmm.
And honoring your hunger throughout the summer as well.
Yeah. You know what is also so liberating before we get into honoring your hunger is I no longer think about food labels at all in terms of meals. That used to be so consumptive. I don't even know if that's a word, but it's consuming, right?
Consuming,
is like, oh, I used to always think about like, is this meal paleo? Is this Whole30? Is this blah, blah, blah? Is this dairy free? Is that what labels is this fitting? And if it's not fitting into certain labels, then I'm not doing good. Like I'm not doing great. I'm not following a plan or something. One of the most actually liberating things for me and has been for a lot of my clients is actually to see, one, to prove how ridiculous this is, see how many food labels you can actually fit onto a meal that you just had. So, for example, last night we had a crab bake with my family, a little crab feast. We had some shrimp, we had some potato salad, we had some corn, we had some salad that was fresh from my aunt's garden. We had this amazing like local ice cream, whatever. Technically, that meal was pescatarian. I didn't have any meat. Okay. And it definitely wasn't vegan, so we can't go that way. But it was gluten-free. It was dairy-free. It was, whatever. Who cares? Who cares, right? Unless you have a specific medical reason. Okay, fine. But say you have a meal and you're like, oh, this technically could be this. Why are we so honed in on like that one thing? Because eventually you can, when you start to detach from all those food labels, food is just food. It doesn't have to be low calorie. It doesn't have to be low carb. It doesn't have to be low sugar. It doesn't have to be vegan, Whole30, vegetarian, pescatarian, keto, paleo, whatever. It's just food. Because at the origin, before you learned of this label, it just is whatever it is. And that on its own can take so much of that food noise away because you're not constantly perfectionistically like, oh, does it check this box? Does it check this box? Does it check this box? Again, unless you have a medical reason, it doesn't really matter.
Yeah.
Who cares what the label is? Whether there's a label on what I ate last night or not, it doesn't change what I ate. I ate what I ate.
I think also, too, something that I'm kind of considering as we're talking about this as well is the other side of the coin where people are like, well, what if I do want to make some dietary changes and I want to have more abundance? Like I don't gravitate towards having a lot of fresh vegetables a lot or something like that, too. And I feel like I have to work on that, right? Like I won't do it unless I cut up all this stuff and have it available and I'm on this diet. you can still have the goal of consuming more vegetables and things like that into your life without obsessing over it too. And I just want to point that out to you too, is going back to what I said was how diets don't own those things, they also don't own your behaviors. And just because you're not prescribing to meticulously organizing all of your food items and eating a certain way also doesn't mean that you can't incorporate some of the things that you value from some of these health promoting behaviors that you want to execute. And the summer is a beautiful time to do that because it's all so readily available. It's actually a really great time to practice not following a diet and to practice consuming more of these types of things because they're readily available, because they're so fresh, because it's easier to kind of execute, because it doesn't take that much time to prepare it the same way as it does maybe in the wintertime when it's not so easily available or we're craving heavier, wintry, warming foods. It's easier to do it. So lean into that ease. You don't have to make the summer harder. You can lean into the ease of that and see what happens. See how the pressure valve kind of comes up and how it just kind of releases a little bit. It makes it easier for you to execute these things. And then you can see, oh, wow, maybe I can do this a little bit more. Maybe this does feel more natural to me. Maybe I can honor my body's hunger and fullness. Maybe I can not do this restrictive and then binge like tendency over and over again. And maybe I can see how as I ease up on how meticulously I'm monitoring my food intake, I'm able to have more relaxation around food and let yourself out of that system a little bit.
Because we used to talk about this all the time with intentional eating, but you can bring more intention around something. The example Christina was saying, I don't tend to eat a lot of fruit and vegetables throughout the year. Maybe you want to try and add in more of that. You can add in more intention without being on some kind of protocol or diet, without being perfectionistic about it, and without assigning moral value to it as well.
Mm-hmm.
There's nothing wrong with wanting to eat more fruits and vegetables or try to grill more or try to eat more salads or whatever. That's great. You're probably going to get a lot of different nutrients and micronutrients, macronutrients, different vitamins and minerals that you don't typically get if you don't typically eat those foods. Fantastic. Great.
Mm-hmm.
If you really like that and you find that summer makes it a lot easier for you, maybe that will be the inspiration for you to be like, I wonder how I can do this the rest of the year. Amazing. But we don't have to assign morality to it. And I would really encourage you not to assign a label to that, because then, like Christina was saying, it tends to have this all or nothing, binge, restrict, back and forth rubber band effect that makes it more likely that you will fall off that pattern. Because if there's only a set amount of time that you're trying to do it for, or before a certain event, or for a certain season, it's kind of like, oh, well, that period is over, so I don't have to do this anymore. What we're really encouraging you to do is to think about how can we take advantage of what's going on in the summer food-wise to build habits that are going to be sustainable, not just for this week, not just for this month or 30 days or for this season, but what can we learn from the different ways that we might like to prepare food in terms of like grilling or salads or whatever, not detox drinks, but other things. And maybe you find something new this summer. Oh, I love grilled peaches with whatever. Amazing. Maybe then every summer you'll do grilled peaches because you can really only do that in the summer.
In the summer.
Amazing.
Yeah, I think one of the things too that I'm taking from this as well that I want you guys to leave with as well is what does summer, like realistic summer nutrition look like? And what you can focus on instead. If it's not going to be, if we're saying like take away the perfection and try these different things like Dana's talking about throughout all this as well, what can you focus on? Let's focus on feeling satisfied. Let's focus on hydration. We need hydration throughout the summer. Let's focus on making sure that we're eating enough throughout the day and supporting our system. Let's focus on enjoying the the seasonal fruits and vegetables and all of the foods in general that are available. Enjoy the access to living outside more and the foods that naturally lend itself to being there, like wonderful pasta salads at the pool and at the barbecue, and enjoy those things more. And again, taking that pressure valve off of yourself again. And I'm wondering too, Dana, I'm thinking also is like, as we start getting, maybe people might be experiencing some food noise when we're at these kind of summer gatherings and we're doing stuff, what can we do? And I'm wondering if you have any insights of like what we can do to kind of reduce that internal food noise a little bit.
Stomp out the haters.
Yeah.
No, in all seriousness. Well, yes, actually. But like we talked about in the last episode. Yeah, the last episode. I was like, wait, did we? We record these out of order sometimes, guys.
Oh my God.
Yeah, we get a little confused with where we are in the editorial calendar. But so what we were talking about is calling this out and identifying it. Where is this coming from? What are the main triggers for this food noise? Are there specific foods or specific events where this tends to come up? And then how can you either minimize those triggers or neutralize those triggers? Because there's definitely going to be situations where you can't avoid being triggered if for whatever reason you have a thing about watermelon or something, a summer food, right? Every reason you have watermelon, it brings something up for you and you're like, oh my God, I can't have watermelon. It's so bad for me. Whatever. Insert any summer food here. Most summer gatherings that you go to are probably going to have watermelon. And I'm saying a food, but like it could be a family member, it could be a person, it could be whatever your triggers are. Even though you can't reduce your exposure to that unless you're going to not go to these gatherings, which we don't recommend that you do, is thinking about what is this bringing up for me? What is the root of what that is bringing up for me? So, for example, oh my God, I can't have watermelon because I think it has too much sugar, or it has this, or it has this. Why do you think it has too much sugar? Where did the thought of, oh, this has too much sugar, where did that come from? And what does that actually mean in terms of me and the way that it makes me feel? So I think identifying the triggers, why they're coming up, where that stuff comes from, and then trying to figure out who can I talk this through with can be really helpful as well.
Yeah. I love that. I think it's important to kind of remember that too, and sometimes we don't always have someone we can talk it through with, but you can talk about it with yourself or take a note of it. And I think
or listen to this podcast.
Yeah, or listen to this episode. One of the things I will say is I think sometimes in those moments it can be helpful to say, am I bringing a perfectionistic tone to this? Because if the answer is yes, we can then say, where can I bring flexibility? Can I be a little bit more flexible? How can I practice being flexible here? And what can that look like for me? And if it's really, really hard for you to be flexible and for you to not think about compensating behaviors with flexibility without compensating behaviors, it might be really important for you to not just talk to a friend about it, to really talk to somebody about it. Because that's a struggle that is a little bit more beyond typical.
Yeah.
Just going to put that out there.
And GLP-1 is not going to fix that.
No.
Might quiet the food noise, but it's not fixing where the food noise is coming from.
No. And sometimes that relief is really nice. And if you I get it. But I also just want to say too, so your summer food doesn't need to be a cleanse. You don't need to hyperfixate on what you're having this summer. You can enjoy all the things. You're allowed to eat enough. You're allowed to enjoy your meals. And you're also allowed to exist in your body just as you are this summer. And I hope that we can end it at that.
Yes. And Christina briefly mentioned the problem with how we talk about summer hunger and hunger cues and feeling guilty about being hungry or not knowing how to honor your hunger in the summer because it is hotter. We have a whole bonus episode about that. So you can click on the little link in the show notes or check it out on Patreon or on our Apple Podcast bonus episodes if you want to check that out.
Yeah. Yay. All right.
Yeah. And then next episode we have for you all is about managing the ADHD shame spiral in the summer, which we hope you will enjoy before we take our little in-between season summer break.
Yes. Enjoy your summer. Have fun. Let us know what you're cooking.
And enjoy fruit because it's delicious. Okay, bye.